Hello, chess friends, and welcome to the Art of Chess channel, and welcome to a spectacular game of the Computer Rapid Chess Championship in 2022. We have here Stockfish 15 against Leela C0 in a beautiful modern defense game, and the cool part about this game is that you see that in one particular moment, Stockfish 2 knights will be much more powerful than the Leela C0's 2 rooks on the board, which is really incredible. Stockfish will play here 2 exchange sacrifices in the middle game stage, mortal tactics here. You see again, be prepared, this is again chess from another dimension. So let's check out now the game. So Stockfish opened here with move e4. We have g6 by Leela c0, the modern defense. d4 occupying the center, of course. Bishop to g7, of course, attacking now the long diagonal. Knight to c3 with the preparation to make something in the center of the board. In the continuation, you could also prepare moves like f4. In the continuation, now d6 played by Leela c0, and now bishop to e3, maybe playing also an idea of queen to d2, maybe h4 h5, launching the so-called 150 attack against the Perts or a modern defense. Now comes knight to c6, and this is not maybe the best suggested move that you can play, in my opinion. If you are playing the modern defense, if you want to really study this opening from black's perspective, then a6 is the way to go. At least you are attacking immediately here the flanks, because many times, as we said in the beginning, white is trying to play queen to d2, is trying to play h4 h5, and then he's trying also to castle queenside. And now with the move a6 b5, if of course h4 happens, then you can still block the position with the move h5. Well, you can play knight to f6 and launch your flank attack on your queenside. So this is, in my opinion, the best way if you are of course playing here now the game from black's perspective. Okay, the pre-arranged move by the organizer was now the move knight to c6, and now the engines had to calculate the position for themselves. So here Stockfish plays now the move d5, and the problem already for black is here, if you play knight to e5, then you get attacked immediately by this activity. You get f4, you can maybe get your fun with one tempo against the bishop, but now with bishop to d4, black is losing the main strength, I think, in the position. The dark with bishop, the knight is a little bit loose, white has the space advantage here on the king side, will eventually play maybe even h3, then queen to d2, queenside castling, and will have, I think, a dominant game here for sure. So that's why after move d5 now comes a seemingly strange move by black, knight to b8, but actually when you think about it harder, the knight will come on the d7, will come on c5, maybe even on e5 if it's possible. So the knight will reroute itself here really on a beautiful square, on a beautiful centralizing square. So so far, as I said, the knight is not trapped there on b8. It will have at least a decent activity in the later stage of the game. So here the continuation, now we have queen to d2. We're trying still this normal idea from white's perspective, bishop to h6, and then a launch of flank attack with h4 h5. c6, Leela breaks the center. We have knight to f3, knight to f6, and now after move h3, a prophylactic idea here by Stockfish, not allowing moves like bishop to g4, and also preparing g4 by ourselves here, because if g4 happens, then we could again create this flank attack on the king side. So we have knight from b2 d7, bishop to h6, we have kingside castling, and now queenside castling here by Stockfish 15. And notice now we have again this beautiful opposite side attack game. The kings are on opposite sides, so now we'll have again really some fun, because the white will probably attack the king side with some flank attacks, and of course black will attack the queen side also with some flank attacks. So who is faster on the attack will probably win the game. So here knight to c5, hitting the pawn on e4, and now comes already a beautiful move here by Stockfish. Stockfish first takes out the bishop. We have king to g7, and now Stockfish ignores the threat of the pawn on e4, play simply on this beautiful idea g4 that we wanted to play in the first place, because knight to e4 is actually not working here. You get this one, knight to e4, knight to e4, queen to d4, and now you have to play knight to f6 in order to cover yourself. But now with the move g5, the game is lost. You lose the minor piece, so the game should be over here for black. So this is not working. So Stockfish calculated this, of course, in a beautiful way, continued simply the pressure, is, as I said, ignoring simply the threat on e4. We have now h6. Now knight to e4 could work, because after knight to e4, queen to d4, then you cannot play the move g5. You couldn't play this annoying pin. But now beautiful move again by Stockfish, queen to e3, preparing even now the move e5. And notice the rook is now already where the queen is, so if something gets cleared, then of course the queen could be in danger by this beautiful rook activity. So we have now c takes d5, and now e5 here by Stockfish. Stockfish sacrifices now a pawn for the initiative and breaks now here beautifully in the center of the board. Now we have knight to e8. D takes e5, of course it's not possible. Again, you lose the piece. The knight was connected to the pawn, so that's why you have to play knight to e8. So here in the continuation now knight to d5. Again, there are some tactical threats maybe on the d file. If something gets cleared, the knight maybe moves somewhere, then the queen again could be in danger. So that's why bishop to e6 by Leela, hitting the knight on d5. We have now g5. Stockfish now breaks in the center of the board, and here we have h5. The problem is here also in this position, if you play bishop to d5, then we'll simply play first g takes h6, king to h7, and look at this. Now this knight is coming into the game. We'll play eventually h4, h5. Of course, we'll first take out the bishop, but then bishop to c4 is coming. The f7 is weak, so I guarantee you will not have fun playing this game from black's perspective. So that's why after move g5 h5 was played by Leela c0, and Leela hoped now to have this beautiful block position where now white cannot open, of course, the g file. Maybe white cannot even open the h file, but Stockfish has now different ideas in mind. Stockfish is searching now for tactical opportunities, maybe somehow to sacrifice something on g6, sacrifice something on h5. The king is already a little bit exposed because you gave up your powerful bishop in the beginning. The dark square bishop is not protecting anymore the king, so now Stockfish is searching really for some wild ideas. So Stockfish first place, of course, e takes d6, hitting the pawn. We have e takes d6, and now knight to f4. And from this square, you see the knight is really flexible. The knight has really certain attacking opportunities. First of all, the bishop on e6 is attacked. The knight is also attacking the g6 pawn, but very important here to say the pawn on h5 seems a little bit loose. If we play maybe knight to h5 and you maybe include the queen into the game, that you can also create a dangerous threat around the square h6. So already a beautiful position now for white. In the continuation now, a5 was played by Leela. Leela is trying now to get some kind of an attack here on the queen side, but you see, as we said in the beginning, we have this opposite side attack him, and who is faster will probably win the game. Now, in my opinion, this attack by black is a little bit slow. It doesn't make anything. You need at least 4 or 5 moves in order just to make maybe one single threat. In my opinion, white is much faster here. White has already beautiful activity here. So Stockfish plays now a3. We have king to g8, getting out of potential attacks by the queen. Queen to d4 is always a tactical opportunity. We have now rook to g1, placing the rook where also the king is. So far, nothing is cleared on the g file, but we cannot say that the g file will be locked forever. If something clears, then again the king could be in danger. So we have here knight to g7. Leela is trying to get new defensive resources in the game, and now a beautiful move here by Stockfish, knight to d4, getting another knight into the center of the board, targeting again the beautiful bishop here on e6. Knight to f5. If you ask yourself the question, is this possible maybe to simplify the game? Actually, this is not working, because after knight to f5, bishop to f5, notice that the knight will come to d5, and then it will come to f6. We'll play eventually maybe some ideas of queen to d4 or queen to c3. So this is the way to go, attacking this long diagonal, and then just imagine knight to d5 and then knight to f6. We're rooting here the knight on this beautiful square, and also we have to say that d6 is a long-term weakness. So from this point on, it's simply a one-way ticket. So that's why after move knight to d4, you see knight to f5 isn't an opportunity immediately. So that's why here in the continuation we have rook to c8 played by Leela c0. There are now certain threats maybe to play knight to b3, knight to d3, maybe targeting the c file. So that's why Stockfish plays a calm move, gets out of this potential attack, and plays now a solid king to b1. We have king to h7 by Leela c0, and now queen to f3. Very nice move. Again, targeting, as I said also in the middle of this video, targeting the h5 pawn, because look at this wasn't played in the game, but imagine now this position. If you want to maybe include your knight into the game, if you want to really defend this position like this, actually this is not working, because as I said, knight to h5 could be really a devastating attack here. I'm pointing out this wasn't played in the game, but I was really curious what would happen if black now really defends the position with the move knight to f5. Look at this, g takes h5, queen to h5. You have to step back. Now we take, look at this, we're playing one check, and now you're destroying here black with this beautiful breakthrough, bishop to g6. You can even sacrifice here the rook, really wild stuff. Now you play a couple of checks. You play bishop to c4, d5, but now with this one you get even checkmated. Look at this, you have to even cover now with the rook, and this would be even a forced checkmate sequence. Really wild stuff. This is the way to go. You sacrifice simply here the knight on h5, create really a pawn mobility here. The serious threat is, as we said, the queen on h6 move, then you push g6, and the position is falling apart here in black's camp. So you see still this seemingly good move knight to f5 in order to defend yourself is not working, because here Stockfish is targeting the h5 weakness. So here Leela gets out, king to g8, we have bishop to e2, again with the same threat, maybe maneuvering now the queen somewhere and still attacking the h5 further, maybe even sacrificing the later stage some material around the square h5. So we have now queen to d7. Leela brings a new defender into the game, but also is hitting the weak pawn on h3. Knight to b5, hitting the pawn on d6, and now comes this move knight to f5. So far, knight to f5, knight to h5 is possible, but in my opinion a little bit too rushed, because Leela brought now a new defender into the game. We have seen there are certain tactical threats on the 7th rank, so far this maneuver, this idea would be simply too rushed. So that's why here in the continuation of the game, after knight to f5, Stockfish retreated now with the knight to c3. We have knight to e7, and now bishop to b5, hitting the queen again, getting the queen out of the 7th rank. But here Leela is trying to protect the 7th rank somehow, because if something again gets cleared, at least you have a defender that could defend your h7 weakness. So in the continuation now, rook to e1, and Stockfish is saying now, okay, I had it enough. I'm building now really mortal here, really set up. Now basically when you think about this position harder, all of these pieces are almost on the best squares. I couldn't even find better squares, I think, here for white's pieces. The rooks are in this open and semi-open files. The bishop very active on b5. The knights are centralized. The knight have a really great activity. The queen is very active. We have already weakened our opponent's pawn structure. The king is endangered. So really a brutal formation here by the fish. So here rook to d8, trying to protect now the d6 pawn, but now rook to d5 here by Stockfish. Stockfish is now getting the heavy artillery into the game. Look at this. Let's see now what happens. Of course, if you play bishop to d5, this wasn't played in the game. Here Leela c0 didn't dare to take out this rook on d5. After bishop to d5, you get this one. This is the serious threat. Knight to d5, knight to d5, knight to d5, and look at this. After knight to e7, actually you're getting even checkmated. This is the stunning tactical shot here that white prepared here, that Stockfish prepared here, because even if you play here king to h7, you have this one, knight to g6. Look at this. When we take out the pawn on g6, notice the h5 is not protected anymore. If you play here, let's see, f takes g6, if you're trying to protect your h5 pawn, you get first this check. After king to h8 or something, we get this one, queen to c3, and now you would get a beautiful checkmate. So let's go back. After move knight to g6, you could of course play here king to g6. It doesn't help you out, because still queen to f6 is going to happen. Now again a new check. Again this idea, g6 breaking the position in front of the king. You can just take, we can again take, and now after a couple of checks and rook to g7, actually it's even immediately checkmate. You don't have to even play the move queen to g6 afterwards, because now in this scenario the bishop is actually covering the ex square. So let's go back. After moving knight to g6, what you could play, of course, is to step back to ignore the threat. You can play king to g7, but now with queen to f6, again, this is devastating. And if you play something like king to g8, again, knight to e7, then we'll pick up here the pawn. Queen to f6, again, is simply losing the game. So here you can play maybe this one, but now with queen to h6 is also a beautiful checkmate. The pawn on h5 is always hanging, so you cannot really defend this position. So let's see other opportunities. After knight to g6, you could could maybe play here the move knight to e6, trying again to get a new defender into the game. But look at this again, queen to h5, again a couple of checks, and here after queen to h8, this would be a beautiful checkmate. So let's go back. So as I said, after move rook to d5, I think we have to really solve this position. Why really bishop to d5 or knight to d5 is not possible, because you get eventually knight to e7, and then we saw knight to g6 is actually the destructive here tactic in front of black's king. So I think we have solved now really this issue. So that's why here in the continuation, Leela c0 tried now the move b6, fixing everything, trying to keep the position compact as much as you can. But now Stockfish simply continues the pressure now on the d file, and here has still a good continuation. So we have king to g7, a4, we have king to g8, and look how Leela c0 is almost paralyzed here. We have almost an immortal Zugzwang position here, where basically black doesn't have good moves. Whatever you do, whatever you move, you could lose the game. If you of course move the queen, at least we can, I think, grab the pawn. If you move the rook, again the pawn is hanging. This rook cannot even move because the bishop is controlling e8. We have seen, as we said, even if you take out the rook in the center of the board, then you get destroyed immediately. So you see, it's really a brutal Zugzwang position that Stockfish performed here against Leela c0. The pieces are really paralyzed all over the board. This is really incredible how Stockfish played the game. So we have now b3, we have king to g7, h4. So you see, Stockfish doesn't have to rush in this game. For instance, let's see, just one move, you play rook to a8. I'm just playing one move that could be possible. Now you're getting destroyed immediately. You can even play this kind of idea, rook to c5, look at queen to c5, rook to e6 is even the opportunity. If you, for instance, take out here this one, we can take out knight on e7, so you get two minor pieces for the rook. You still have this devastating attack against the f7. You bring the queen into the game, so you see this is not working. So you see, after queen to c5 and rook to e6, if you play f takes e6, now you get knight to e6 and then knight to c5. So you see, even in this scenario, there are even this kind of a sacrifice possibilities. You have even the possibility to exchange the sacrifice here on c5. So really immortal possibilities here for the Stockfish enders. So I wanted to show you really how these pieces are paralyzed, because I'm not seeing here really a good move for Leela c0. So after move h4, here again Leela tried king to g8. Again Leela is just playing king to g8, king to g7. Leela c0 doesn't find here better moves. So we have rook to e3, just getting a better activity for the rook. We have queen to b7, now attacking finally the rook, and now Stockfish cements simply the position around the square d5, still leaving this beautiful rook on d5 hanging. So we have king to g7. Again, Leela is just repeating move. Really wild stuff. So we have queen to d4. Now the queen is coming into the game. King to h7, bishop to d3. Look at this. There are now threats of knight to h5. Maybe, if possible, even knight to g6, bishop to g6. If, for instance, this knight leaves somehow maybe the protection, there are several targets here on light score. So in the continuation, we have now knight to d3. We have now queen to d3, again with the same threat. And now after bishop to f5, now Stockfish plays a beautiful rook sacrifice. We have here rook to e7. If you play bishop to d3 first, this wasn't played in the game, of course, we'll pick up simply first the queen. You have to now retreat, and actually even rook to f5 is an opportunity, because after g takes f5, you have this one, knight to e6, getting the fork. You cannot take, of course, because of this beautiful activity on the 7th rank. One of these rooks will be taken, and then you continue the game with the whole knight more than your opponent. So it's now complete, again winning endgame here for white. So that's why after rook to e7, here you have to play queen to e7. Stockfish sacrifice now the rook for the exchange, and sacrifices now another rook. A rook takes f5, we have g takes f5, queen to f5, we have king to h8, and now knight to d5. Both of these knights are very active. You cannot play good moves, I think, here. Even if you play queen to d7, you're trying maybe to simplify the game. Queen to f6, king to h7. Now again a check, and now after king to g1, we have a king to g8, pardon me, knight to f6 would be a beautiful checkmate here by the knight. So you cannot trade off the queens. That's now the most important thing here to say. You would love, of course, to play that. Leela tried it in this way, queen to e5, but now with queen to d3, Stockfish is staying here very active with the queen, and is trying now this idea, knight to h5, knight to f6, also here hitting the queen somewhere, and also maybe deliver checkmate here on h7. So in the continuation, queen to e1, we have king to a2, rook to g8, trying to get a new defender into the game. Now comes this idea, knight to f6, attacking further also the pawn on h5, rook to g7, queen to f3, trying to sneak in now with the queen here on h5. We have rook to h7, so here Leela c0 is trying to at least give up some material just in order to get rid of at least one of these active knights. We have here now knight to d5. Stockfish even ignores now the rook on h7, continues simply the pressure, includes now another piece into the game. We have queen to e6, and now after queen to d3, Stockfish is searching maybe for this kind of an opportunity, bringing the queen again on this long diagonal and maybe endanger further the king on h8. So we have rook to g7, we have queen to d1, again with the threat to take out the pawn on h5. Again, Leela is playing the same move, hopes really that Stockfish gives up on this powerful knight on f6, but Stockfish again ignores this threat, plays now a beautiful calm move, simply pushes the pawn further. The knights are very powerful here. Stockfish is not rushing here to take any materials. So we have here king to rook to c8. Now comes knight to h7. We have king to h7, and now a beautiful stunner f5. Because if you play queen to h5, this would be also possible, but the king gets out of this mess. f5 is more active because look at this. Here Leela tried rook to c2, but let's see what happens if you play queen to f5. Then you get queen to h5, and it's a little bit different because we get this check, and now you have to step back here on the light squares, and here with the move knight to e7, again this would be a beautiful checkmate. So actually the deflection idea here is very important, to deflect here the queen from the square e7. So that's why f5 really a beautiful move. We have now rook to c2, so Stockfish is again not rushing here. Many of us would take immediately the rook on c2, but Stockfish first attacks it with the king because the queen has to stay active, has to still be connected to the knight on d5. So we have rook to b2, we have king to b2, and after queen to e5, king to a2, here Leela c0 tried to escape with the king, but now it's obvious a completely winning game here. Leela even gave up the queen, which was really devastating here. It was an incredible game. Leela here admitted the loss here, and simply Stockfish pushed the pawn further, promoted to a new queen, and here after a couple of moves here it was a beautiful checkmate. So incredible performance by the Stockfish 15 engine, really immortal attack with these two knights against these rooks that Leela c0 had in the position. Really stunning moves. You have seen it was almost an immortal Zugzwang. Leela c0 couldn't move any pieces in the middle game stage. Really wild stuff. Really brutal again tactics here by the fish. So okay, I hope that you enjoyed the game. I really enjoyed it a lot. Interesting ideas in the middle game stage. Really great tactics for sure. If you want to see more brutal attacks like this, check out my Commons Chess Games Played by Computer series with some more games played by Stockfish, Alpha 0, Leela 0, and many more. And if you like this content, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. See you soon with some more videos, and chess is the best, of course.